Anderson Silva. People seem to forget how young the pound-for-pound rankings are. It was introduced in February 2013, and they basically just plastered up a top ranking just like that. With that being said as well, a lot of the detailed information in this video is not 100% from me. I am crediting the resourced information right here. These are the true GOATs. I am simply doing my own twist on this video idea, as well as a bonus section at the end. As we go through the pattern of the pound-for-pound kings, I will make some theories on who the next pound-for-pound #1 fighter will be. But let's jump back to Anderson Silva. Sadly, this is the only Anderson Silva reign that was short-lived. He was champion for years and had a winning streak for years, and it broke many records and broke many sponsorship records. Unfortunately, he was the pound-for-pound champion for only a few months. Yes, a lot of you know why. The untouchable fighter finally got touched. Rightfully deserved for showboating, but then again, he was at the top for years. He is probably bored of winning all the time. But still. And ever since then, Anderson Silva has had a bad career since. Of course, the rematch was warranted, but God said that's enough. Your 16-win streak is the best you can get. Take it or leave it. Broke his shin bone from a check, and the mental trauma never really made him the same. He trickles down the pound-for-pound rankings and even the middleweight rankings. His next fight was against Nick Diaz, where it was overturned. Both when using illegal substances, and I don't blame Silva for getting caught with steroids. You need all the shit you can consume to recover that leg break. But ever since then, he lost all of his matches, except for the Derek Bronson fight. That was weird. In terms of his fighting since losing the bout, he's had one of the biggest downfalls. I say this in terms of fighting, because if we can teleport to Anderson Silva right now, he's probably happy as hell and still a middleweight GOAT regardless. Jon Jones, July 2013 till April 2015. Okay, this one is tricky because he became the #1 pound-for-pound fighter like 5 times. And he's actually the pound-for-pound #1 fighter right now, unofficially. In Dana's own pound-for-pound list, he is #1. But the official UFC says Islam. I think once you become a UFC fan for a while, you start to differentiate that Dana and the UFC organization as a whole are two different things. But anyway, let's go back to the topic of the video. Jon Jones, a young dominant fighter, now replaces Anderson Silva. From July 2013 till April 2015, Jon Jones was officially the pound-for-pound champion. In between this reign, there were some big controversies, but it was all okay for the organization for some reason. And in 2015, he was expected to fight Anthony Johnson for the next title defense. But we all knew what happened.
Albuquerque police are still looking for UFC champ Jon Bones Jones for a hit-and-run crash that happened yesterday. Within the past hour, APD just gave us an update on that case that's now making national news. Here's News 13's Haley Rush.
Kim, police say they've tried many ways to contact Jones with no answer from the UFC fighter, and now he could be charged with a felony. It happened at the intersection of Juan Tabo and Southern when witnesses say Jones ran the red light, hitting another car, then took off running after grabbing a wad of cash from his SUV. APD tells us a pregnant woman in her 20s was hurt and had to go to the hospital. An off-duty officer recognized Jones as he ran off. He left his rented SUV at the crash site. Inside, police found insurance information with Jones's name and Jones sports memorabilia. They also found a pipe with marijuana in it. Authorities say they tried to track down Jones at his home and through his attorney, but had no luck.
He's one of the most famous athletes in the world today. You would think that someone would be telling him, hey, listen, you need to get out in front of this and at least talk to the police, if not make a public statement. And we've heard nothing.
I don't want to dive deep into things that isn't really fighting related, so you kind of get the gist. He's stripped as a champion and a pound-for-pound fighter, and stripped as a fighter. Jose Aldo, April 2015 to December 2015. During this time, Aldo had 25 wins and 1 loss. He was truly deserving of the pound-for-pound #1 spot when Jon Jones left. During this reign, he actually didn't have any fights. Well, I mean, he did. 1 fight, and it was the fight that made him lose his pound-for-pound status. Yes, it was the iconic Conor McGregor fight that slipped Aldo in 13 seconds. So that's why Aldo's reign was only 9 months. We can see in another perspective of how big that fight was. Aldo was undefeated in the UFC. His record is God tier. He is pound for pound number 1, and he was a GOAT in the making. Just for it to all go away in a few minutes from a strong character like McGregor. It's like now, if Ilya moved up and knocked out Islam in 13 seconds. That's shocking, but won't peak over the Conor McGregor one, because it will just feel like a second coming of Conor McGregor at best, unless maybe Topuria does some crazy shit and submits Islam in 10 seconds. That would be crazy. Oh yeah, but yeah, poor Aldo. Never actually had any wins during his pound for pound reign and never reached that spot again. Demetrius Johnson, December 2015 till January 2016. Because Conor McGregor was new as fuck and it was hype that he knocked out Aldo, it didn't really warrant him taking over the pound for pound spot. The one who inherited the status was none other than DJ. Mighty Mouse was sweeping the flyweight division so bad for so long, it only made sense. This made Dana a little bit agitated. Not mad, but a little agitated that the number 1 superstar Conor McGregor isn't the pound for pound king, especially when it belongs to a flyweight fighter who draws next to no money for him too. Luckily for Dana, this was short-lived, where DJ was only number 1 for about a month. Jon Jones, January 2016 till July 2016. Dana White was praying every single day and his wish kinda came true. The second best thing happened where it wasn't Conor McGregor, but Jon Jones was reintroduced back into the UFC and replaced DJ for the pound for pound number 1 spot. There was a bunch of stuff going on, but on April, it was said that he was going to fight OSP, which was good. He won and got the interim bout and stabilized his pound for pound status. Dana White is happy. Until July 2016, where he was booked to solidify the beef between Daniel Cormier. Jon Jones tested positive for illegal substances and was stripped once again. Demetrius Johnson, July 2016 till July 2017. And here we are again. You can't lie, looking at its most rawest perspective. DJ was a dominant champion. He was perfect for the pound for pound spot. But Dana White is scheming behind.
What was your response when you heard that he says he feels like you're bullying him in the media and you're not marketing him right?
We're not marketing him right? I'm bullying you? How do you bully the pound for pound best fighter in the world? The media claims he's the pound for pound best fighter in the world.
Right.
I think Conor McGregor is the pound for pound best fighter in the world. If you look at what that really means, what pound for pound means, and Conor doesn't give a shit. He'll fight anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of mindset he was on. And to look at the competitors' organization's fight roster and be like, yeah, that Ben Askren is looking kind of juicy. For a whole year, DJ defended his bout against Tim Elliott and Wilson Reyes, and in spectacular fashion as well. Jon Jones, July 2017 till August 2017. Yeah, this guy's back. Did you miss him? Because it's not going to be the last time he springs out of nowhere. This reign was only for 2 months, where Jon Jones finally got unsuspended from USADA. It was finally scheduled. The rematch between Jones and DC. The hype was real, because there were many detours throughout the years, but now we have it. And with a finish like that, he is definitely the pound for pound king. Oh wait, I lied. He tested positive for illegal substances for that too. Yeah, he got suspended again. He got stripped, and the light heavyweight bout came back to DC. And you guessed it, the pound for pound status was stripped too. And it's full circle. Demetrius Johnson, August 2017 till July 2018. Don't worry, this is DJ's last time here. But at least it was a longer one. He was on top for about 11 months. During this time, he fought against Ray Borg. I think you guys remember this iconic finish, the suplex armbar. Here is what happened that night. Defended the UFC Flyweight Championship, performance of the night, submission of the year, broke the UFC record for the most consecutive title defenses, which was 11 at the time. And also during that time, Anderson Silva was the previous record holder. This was otherworldly in the flyweight division and in MMA as well. Around half a year passed by and he was set to fight Henry Cejudo again. A lot of stuff happened in between and all this beef, but the fight ended in a split decision loss to DJ and he lost his status as a flyweight champion and a pound-for-pound king. Daniel Cormier, July 2018 until August 2019. As a replacement, DC stepped in. I shouldn't really say replaced. It was rightfully deserved. DC, just 1 month before the DJ loss, he became the double champ. Yes, just before DJ's reign finished. How convenient. DC defended his light heavyweight bout against Volkan with a TKO and destroyed the heavyweight champion at the time, Stipe. So it was kind of deserving for him to be the pound-for-pound king anyway. And after that, he defended his newly heavyweight bout against Derek Lewis, round 2 submission. Probably the easiest defense in the century. Also, I just want to take a small breather. This is going to get ugly again. Stipe comes back for the rematch and gets revenge. Good night, DC. And good night, #1 pound-for-pound status. It sucks too because now he isn't a pound-for-pound #1 fighter, as well as not being a champion in any division. Jon Jones, August 2019 until October 2020. During DC's heavyweight endeavors, he vacated his light heavyweight bout. And who came in rushing from the shadows? Yes, this guy again. To be fair, this is the best reign he's got so far. He fought and won against Gustafsson, Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos, and Dominic Reyes. We can leave the debate for later, but in the records, he won against Dominic Reyes. So let's just leave it at that. This is the most credit I'm giving Jon Jones right now. He is an extremely good fighter regardless. I'm just hating him right now because he made me skipping this video a complete shit show. Fuck you. After having controversies and fights with Dana White about pay, he decided to vacate the bout and spend some time alone, therefore vacating the #1 pound-for-pound status as well. Khabib Nurmagomedov, October 2020 until March 2021. And here comes the debatable GOAT of the whole UFC. Can Dana White actually have someone on the pound-for-pound list that isn't going to be gone in a few weeks? I think you guys know the answer to that question. Khabib was set to fight the interim champ of the time, which was Justin Gaethje. Khabib was set on retiring after the Gaethje fight. Yes, the undefeated, never lost a round, lightweight champion and pound-for-pound #1 fighter is going to close the show. In great fashion too. He submitted Justin in a triangle choke. And fun fact as well, he even said he chose to do that instead of an armbar because he didn't want to injure him. Khabib is dead set on retiring because of his late father. He talked with his mother for 3 days, just negotiating that yes, this is going to be the only and last time I fight without father. I think we can all respect that. Except for Dana, of course.
The toughest retirement for me, Khabib was a tough retirement. Because usually when it's time for them to retire, I'm happy for them to retire. It's over. You've accomplished everything that you could possibly accomplish. Why keep doing this? Because I think Khabib had so much more to offer.
Imagine what you and Conor would do in another fight. Just saying. I'm just saying.
And so much more to accomplish. But I think when his dad passed away, he was done. Plus, he made so much money, he never has to do anything ever again.
You know, but I have a rich guy with me. If I need money, I ask him.
Who?
Khabib?
Khabib's that rich guy, huh?
Jon Jones, March 2021 till October 2021. Whoa, look who's back. Here's the real GOAT again. He's returned to the roster. He's about to fight someone great. Maybe Ngannou, perhaps? Holding the pound-for-pound king status for 8 months? You would think he would get at least one fight out of it, right? Nope. Well, we kind of did, but it was not in the octagon.
Other prison officers, I hate you. I hate you.
Yeah, so that happened. I mean, I love Jon Jones as a fighter. He is the GOAT as a fighter. But as a person, I mean, this video is about the downfall of each pound-for-pound king. And the fact I needed to say Jon Jones had 5 through controversies alone and not losing by fights kind of says something. Kamaru Usman, October 2021 till August 2022. Let's talk about Usman, man. He's done it. He's defended the bout 4 frickin' times and had KO of the year. It's about time he is the pound-for-pound #1 fighter. Having a record of 19-1 and undefeated in the UFC, who can really deny the Nigerian nightmare? Coming into his first fight as the pound-for-pound king, he defeats Colby Covington for the 2nd time. Bro was undefeatable, had KO power, had god-tier wrestling. It's the second coming of Khabib in terms of record. But as soon as he was about to sweep the division, here comes Leon Edwards. In August 2022, everything fell apart and the whole world was shocked. Usman's reign was pretty good though, having been the pound-for-pound king for almost a year. Of course, Usman still had a chance of redemption, seeing he was so ahead before the knockout. But the third bout between the two didn't come as planned. Slowly, Usman went down in the rankings and had a recent short-notice fight against Chimaev in middleweight. We were expecting these two to fight eventually, but not like this. We thought it would be for the welterweight bout and not some random middleweight Abu Dhabi short-notice fight. Usman lost by majority decision. Seeing how both losses slipped through his hands, it didn't look good on paper. Usman currently is no longer in the pound-for-pound rankings too. Quite a sad end. Oh, did someone say sad? Alexander Volkanovski, August 2022 until October 2023. You know who else was almost exactly like Kamaru Usman? None other than the great Volkanovski. He is also a great fighter, extremely stocky and fast for the weight class. He shows top-tier wrestling and striking just like Usman, also having an amazing record and undefeated in the UFC. He became the pound-for-pound king just after the dominant 50-45 win against Max Holloway. This was the end of the trilogy, and it feels like there is nothing left for Volkanovski in the featherweight division. Spoiler alert, Volk's pound-for-pound reign is the weirdest out of all the entries. You will see why. Yep, there was only one fight during his reign, and it was the first fight between him and Islam. It was a good fight. You can literally watch the whole fight on YouTube, and there is even giant analysis on YouTube too. I'm just here for this video to recap and do a summary timeline. I just need to reiterate that this was a super fight. I don't think we will get something like this again, unless Alex Pereira chops off some of his limbs to fight Islam, then it might work. But pound for pound #2 versus pound for pound #1. And also for the lightweight bout. No matter who you rooted for, it was great.
Judge score the contest, 48-47, 48-47, and 49-46 for the winner by unanimous decision,
But at the end, the judges scored Islam as the winner. But the GOAT still had fight in him. The UFC knew Alex was still a GOAT and kept him as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter. He may have lost his chance of being a double champ, but he still got the second best thing. He managed to defend the pound-for-pound bout from a loss. Rightfully deserved, because Volkanovski's personality is like a direct opposite to Jon Jones. But it was short-lived though. Volk never really experienced such a giant loss in his life before. It really hurt him mentally, to the point where he made irrational decisions, such as a short 2-week notice fight rematch. We know he's good, but look at his body. I respect that he managed weight, but because he didn't have time for a full camp, he still has fat on him and just did a big water cut. And it wasn't even that big of a cut because it was to lightweight anyway. But that decision loss and now this KO loss made him even more desperate to get back on top, which is not a good thing, I might add. Well, at least that spiked Ilya up in the pound-for-pound rankings. Islam Makhachev, October 2023 till present time. He might be at the top for a while. No one is close to beating this guy, and he's marketable for the UFC too.
It's gonna be a very good fight for me.
But then you say Leon, but then he's
Brother,
got
who this guy? He don't have question. He just listen us.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys that is very smart.
Very smart there. He lost last 3 fights. Very smart. Took the fight McGregor. Very smart.
We smashed. When my kids went to Dagestan, we smashed.
1 point.
No, we didn't take 1 point.
Guy take 2 points.
No, listen. When my kids went to Dagestan, we won the duel meet.
You have to listen to me, brother. It was
Brother, maybe somebody lying, but you can bring your kids and come and watch.
I have the video.
You gonna.
Sorry, Arman Sarukian, but if you fight him again, we all know who the judges are picking if it ends up being a split decision. Islam is also deserving as a pound-for-pound king, where his striking is extremely good for a Dagestani fighter, almost making it look like he can be at the top for only his striking. It's weirdly good. And not to forget his actual base, Sambo and wrestling. He is of course the current pound-for-pound fighter and has fought one fighter so far during his reign. It was a good fight. I've never seen a cut-up Islam in my life and was never really going to expect it to. I think a southpaw versus southpaw tactic was Islam's biggest weakness. That is the only aspect of fighting I feel like Islam has the least experience in. But it all ended well for him, where he got the submission choke in round 5. A lot was at stake for Dustin Poirier, but he did a great job regardless. Alright, and here comes the theory on the pound-for-pound fighter, the next #1 pound-for-pound fighter. This is what you've been waiting for since the intro. I just wanted to dick tease you, and it's not even that exciting. So, I actually think 2024 and 2025, the #1 pound-for-pound fighter is still going to be Islam, but this theory is on who the next pound-for-pound #1 fighter will be. So, I think it might be Ilia Topuria. Okay? That's the most likely chance. I'm not saying it is, but it's looking like it's the most likely. Because if we look at the pound-for-pound rankings right now, it's got to be someone in the pound-for-pound rankings right now that's going to be the #1. Okay? No one's going to spike out of nowhere. Okay, unless it's some other unless Sean O'Malley has a lost twin brother, but I doubt it. Ilia Topuria has like no signs of retiring, so some sort of super fight in lightweight where Ilia beats Islam might happen and he becomes the pound-for-pound #1 fighter in 2025 or 2026 and he becomes the double champ. But it is also a weird string of consecutive hypothetical events, so it's still not likely, but also not impossible. And you know what sport we're in right now, okay? Yeah. There's a reason why gambling is still very strong in this sport. And yes, I am overlooking Jon Jones, right? But I'm speaking from a 2025 and 2026 perspective, okay? If Jon Jones doesn't retire, okay, he's going to beat Stipe. And if he doesn't retire, we all know that the next likely occasion will be another controversy. So that's going to strip him from the pound-for-pound rankings and as a fighter in the roster anyway. And next we do have Alex Pereira, which I do like Alex Pereira, but I feel like a lot of the fans and the UFC themselves know that Alex Pereira, the max he can go is #2 pound-for-pound rankings because he doesn't really showcase the pound-for-poundness, if you understand what I'm saying. Okay? He does have maximum striking to the point where it overlaps any sort of weakness in the ground game, which is good, but does it actually mean he is the pound-for-pound #1 fighter? If his career keeps going and he finds a way to absolutely dominate Ankalaev when the fight occurs, then maybe. But for the near future, if you were to compare an extremely dominant Ilia Topuria and an extremely dominant Alex Pereira, I think a very slight majority of people in the organization will probably pick Ilia Topuria. So, yeah.